And we follow up Dave's report with Stephen A. Smith's perspective on Game 4. Stephen A., Joel Embiid not feeling well or playing well Sunday. Where are the Sixers if he is not right over the next 3 games?
They're on their way home. When he's not right, they're on their way home because they're not going to win too many games without him. It's just that simple. Jimmy Butler has been playing outstanding basketball for the most part, and I think it's been very pivotal to whatever level of success that they've had because with Kawhi Leonard playing lights out, looking absolutely phenomenal, you've got to have something from the perimeter to offset what he's giving you, meaning somebody that's opposed to him, that's guarding him, that's reminding him he's got to worry about them too. But in the case of Joel Embiid, when he's playing like the monster that he is, there's no question that the Philadelphia 76ers look like they can beat anybody, but he certainly didn't look that way in Game 4. He was sluggish. He just didn't have the energy to go out there and do it. That knee wasn't bothering him when he was blocking shots from Serge Ibaka or somebody. It wasn't blocking him in terms of his presence on the defensive side of the ball, but offensively, when it was called upon him to be creative and dig into his offensive arsenal and find a way to get things done, he just didn't have that reserve in his tank. I don't know why that is. I'm just telling you what my eyes saw, and it's a damn shame because with Kawhi Leonard balling out, unbelievably so, you have to have an answer from your best player, and Joel Embiid has told us it's him, and he didn't get it done.
That's where I want to circle back. Brett Brown has referred to Embiid as the best player in the series when he's right. He said once Jimmy Butler was the adult in the gym. So what does that make Kawhi Leonard?
The closest thing to Jordan that the Philadelphia 76ers have seen. I'm not certainly making that comparison, but I'm just talking about the level of dominance. Consider the fact that Kawhi Leonard has played 8 playoff games. In 5 of them, he's scored at least 33. In 6 of them, he has shot better than 60% from the field. In about 5 to 6 of them, he's shot better than 40% from three-point range. In this series, he's averaging 37.7, and he's shooting 91% from the free throw line, and he's giving it to everybody that guards him. That means Jimmy Butler. That means Tobias Harris. It certainly means Ben Simmons. And so when you look at it from that perspective, what else do you want me to say? Jordan has ruined a lot of careers. Guys that had championship potential in their vision, in their eyesight. And suddenly they ran into Jordan, and ultimately it was squashed. Philadelphia has been fantasizing about a championship this year. Kawhi Leonard is single-handedly standing in their way. I'm not calling Kawhi Leonard Jordan by any stretch of the imagination. What I am saying is he damn sure looks like it against this team.
That is high praise to be sure. Hey, are you doing that First Take TV show tomorrow morning?
Ain't First Take without me, Jay. You know that.
Stephen A. We'll see you 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN. Thanks, man.
That's right.
Obviously, when they try to trap, take the ball out of your hands, you give it up, you circle back around, you get the ball again. Not so much basketball because that's obviously practice, but what is it about your temperament that seems like you're never flustered or worried or get sped up? You just kind of move at your pace.
Just really growing up and learning from players, watching great players, seeing how they either control the game or just playing at their own speed and not trying to be rushed by the defender. But I was fortunate enough to be on some pretty good teams early, so I was able to see defenses go on deep playoff runs, and try to pretty much establish that early. And I feel like that probably helped me out to today now that I'm 27.
Michael Grange from Sportsnet. Kawhi, what were you thinking? What were you thinking when you were kind of setting into that shot with just a minute left? They looked like they were trying to corral you. You had 2 defenders. What were you looking at?
Just really came off a pick and roll and tried to stay aggressive. They end up switching. Embiid's a good defender, long, so at the time, I just looked up at the shot clock and tried to get as much space as possible, and and just took a shot and believed that it was going to go in, and it did. Once it left my hand, it did. I was telling them just in the past, playing in a regular season, I had times that I took those shots and they came up short. So I guess I was thinking as well at the time, just making sure.
Well, you heard Kawhi Leonard
get it
say
to
it.
the back rim
I believe those shots
you know.
were going in. Certainly worked out for him. 13 for 20 from the field. Jimmy Butler, 29 and 11. We're looking to hear from him in the 76ers next. So Jimmy Butler averaging 25 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists in the last 3 games. That includes the 29, 11, and 4 he put up in this Game 4 loss. And now we have a 2-2 series. Here is Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy, center, Gerard Hector Bia. So is there anything differently going forward? I mean, look, the series is 2-2, so, I mean, essentially everybody won their home court. What has to happen differently for you guys in Game 5 in Toronto?
I don't know. I think we got to start the game off a little better, get back in transition, do what we were doing whenever we won. That's all I got, you know. Same mindset for me. I don't know. We'll find out when the game gets here.
Jimmy, Joel told us his situation, getting an IV this morning, and Brett said he didn't even know if he was going to be able to go. We heard you mic'd up in the prior game, you know, talking to him during the game. What was it like for you talking to him during this game about his condition?
Same thing. Tell him to be aggressive. I want him to shoot it, when he's open, pass it when he's not. Like I said before, I think at times we make the game a little bit more difficult than it has to be. But, you know, we still ride with him. We don't care how many you take, how many you miss. You're our best player for a reason, and we're going to win, we're going to lose with you. We're in it together.
Jimmy over here, Dave McMenamin, ESPN, piggybacking on that, staying with Joel. Throughout the course of the game, did you see flashes of it, and did you kind of know that it wasn't his day at any point?
We just want him to be aggressive. You know, hell, if you're going to go 2 for 7, go 2 for 20. I'm with it, you know. Like I said, we rocking with Joe. That's what we need out of him, to always be aggressive. Moving forward, we expect the same thing. Go show why you're so dominant night in, night out on both ends of the floor. But, you know, he's a little bit sick, banged up. So we got a day to get him right.
Jimmy, Kai Carlin, Sixers Wire. When it comes to Kawhi, I mean, he just made some ridiculous shots. Is it something where you just kind of tip your cap to him and move on, or is there something more that you can do with him?
No, you're just a really good player. And he's been doing that for a long time now in the league. He's done that every game of this series. So, I mean, I don't know what else he could do.
Kevin Kincaid from Crossing brought Jimmy over here. There's this stretch in the fourth quarter where you guys just weren't getting much out of those offensive possessions. Joel missed a couple free throws. Tobias had a couple threes. You had the 3 that you got your own rebound off of. Were you guys happy with the looks that you were getting there? Or was the offense just not clicking at that point?
I really don't know. We just didn't make shots. I can't tell you, you know, during that stretch what shots that we got, but I know if we put the ball up towards the basket, we living with it. Everybody takes shots that we know and think that we can make. You know, when you go back and watch a film, we'll talk about it, figure out ways to where that doesn't happen. But as of right now, I'm okay with every shot we took.
Jimmy, Michael Luongo, Radio Pennsylvania. Just 2 out of 3 now with this series, going back to Toronto for Game 5. Just talk about the confidence level or the excitement that this team has now for the remainder of this series. Now it's the best 2 or 3.
We're confident, but I don't think we can get too confident and settle, get comfortable. We know how good of a team we are. We know how we're supposed to perform. It's all about going out there and doing it. I think at times people get lost in talking about it and have a good time being here instead of doing what we're supposed to do. I like it. You know, we got humbled tonight. I'm proud of it. You know, hopefully we go and do what we're supposed to do.
Jimmy, just here to your right. Nick Madalinos, ESPN Australia. Ben's had a couple of quiet games in a row now. Is there anything that you say to him just ahead of Game 5 to sort of help get him going, or is he more of, he doesn't need that kind of thing?
If you ask Ben, I told Ben every time down the floor to attack. Every single time. I'm cool with if coach calls a play and you feel like you got the mismatch, by all means, attack. And then coach will be like, why'd you do it? And I promise you, I will say, I told him to do it. I want Ben to be as aggressive, just like I tell Joe to be aggressive. Attack. We're not going to win without you guys. You have to be ready to attack at any point in time. Damn sure in transition. He has the ball in transition. Ben, don't pass the ball in transition. Attack every single time. That's how we're going to win this game. Perfect.
Coach Nurse, Yanni Rubenstein, Hoops Israel. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Beautiful win. Before the game, you asked me to ask you this question after the game. So, do you think the 76ers are as close as this to a juggernaut team right now in the league, and how did you manage to exploit their weaknesses?
Well, we played a lot harder tonight, right, than we did in the previous game. It was very similar to game 2. I thought a little bit more of a grind out affair. Neither team was shooting the ball that well, especially in the first half. And we played hard and tried to make it as tough as we could on them, and made some plays there at the end.
Nick, Michael Grange from Sportsnet. I mean, Kawhi was obviously Kawhi, but you needed more from somewhere else, and some of the other starters stepped up. Kyle looked pretty aggressive, and even got some stuff out of Serge and Marc Gasol playing together. Just maybe speak about some of the.
Yeah, I think it was pretty obvious we needed some punch, around the roster a little bit. Looks like we got 1, 2, 3, 4 other guys in double figures and another guy with 9, so that's pretty good. I just thought it was a different mentality tonight than it was the other night, right? Guys were looking to shoot, taking the shots, first shot that was there. When they're putting 2 or 3 on the ball, you got to get off it, and if you're open, you got to let her fly, because there's not anybody out there that we don't want shooting the ball.
Yeah, Nick, there's Doug Smith, the Toronto Star. The decision to limit the second half to basically six players, is that just kind of ride who was hot, or is it you needed to change up the way you played?
Well, we were using the 6 kind of with everybody. Right, we had some funky lineups out there at times tonight. I don't know. I just liked the way those guys were playing. Right, I didn't want any of them to come off the floor, and the way Serge was impacting, I wanted him on, and that's just the way I could figure out how to keep those same guys going. I think it was a size advantage for us, believe it or not, at some portions of the game, and it just felt good.
Nick, Steve Simmons, Toronto Sun.
Where are you, Steve? Hi, Steve.
To win that game without Pascal being in Pascal-type shape and to get very little offense from him, how pleased are you with your group that you were able to do that under these circumstances?
Yeah, I mean, I think Steve, this was, it was a gutty performance, right? And that kind of was needed regardless of who was there or not, but it even becomes a little more gutty when you're down, I mean, you're not down a guy, but he obviously wasn't himself, right? And kind of the way our team and the rhythm of our team had been flowing had been with a lot of his help and stuff. So we weren't in great rhythm, right? But we were good enough tonight, and we were fighting and figuring some things out on the fly. We were running some stuff tonight we've never run before with Mark and Serge, and trying to figure out how to best use some of that stuff, and we did just enough. Like, we made a couple good decisions on a few plays. We got bailed out on a few times when we didn't, and then we had some bad possessions too, right? But I think the main thing is we kept not really stringing up stops, but we weren't letting them string up scores too often tonight.
John, second row to your left.
Coach, John Chu, NBA.com. What went into the decision to play Serge and Mark together so much? Was that completely separate from Pascal's, questionable status? And what do you think the effect was ultimately? Was it more on the defensive end of the floor of playing the two bigs together?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I felt tonight was the rebounding. Right, it just felt like we were getting pushed around a little bit in the last 2 games around the glass, and a lot of those times that would happen with our really small lineup, our Fred, Kyle, Norm, Pascal lineup, and they were just throwing it up there and revving up their engines and flying into the rim. And tonight we were just had more athleticism and size, and just looked that way, and it looked kind of looked like the rebounds were affected by that. I think that was the biggest thing. And the first part of your question, yeah, I mean, we were looking at some options of how to combat some of the problems we were having, and that obviously was entertaining that Serge and Mark would play together. Hi, Scott.
Hey, Nick. Scott Stinson with Post Media. That last possession that Kawhi hit the big three on, I just wondered if you could sort of walk us through what you're thinking as he's trying to find a shot and then ultimately takes one that was a tough look.
Yeah, I mean, they did a good job of blowing up the play. They were kind of corralling him, I guess, with two guys, and we couldn't really get spacing to get off it and get to it wasn't like a hard blitz, and there was spacing there, and he got back on it. And I mean, listen, I thought it was going to be tough. I saw the shot clock winding down. He didn't get a great shot for the shots he took tonight. That was one of the tougher ones, right? And he just made a big shot.
Last couple questions.
Nick, Mike Sealski from the Philadelphia Inquirer. To kind of follow up on that, how much, given the way Kawhi has played in this series, how much wiggle room do you feel like you guys have if he doesn't play as well as he's played in these 4 games?
Well, I think that, again, I'm hoping that we can get back to being a little bit more ourselves, right? I just think, again, we're our rhythm hasn't been great, and you give them credit, man. This is a good team, right? They're physical, they're big, they're up and guarding, they're game planning, they're watching the films and all that stuff too. We're not in great rhythm. And I think we need to find a little more rhythm if something like that were to happen. And as much as at least we stepped in and took shots tonight, I think I watched a whole bunch of ones that I'm going to keep taking, and we got to make more of them. I mean, there's a lot of naked threes out there that we didn't hit, and one of these days we just might.
Coach Brian Kaprowski from Hoopsite. You have, 2 bigs who can both stretch the floor with Serge and Mark. How much does that factor the decision to play them again together moving forward?
Well, I think we probably look at it again just because it helped us on the rebounding. It does help that they can both make them. It was nice to see Mark take them and make a couple and kind of keep taking them. Serge, hopefully when we get back on our own floor, will get dialed in a little bit. He had a couple threes that he took. He can make those too, and it'd be nice if he could throw 1 or 2 in a game too, because again, the penetration by whoever is going to draw a lot of help, as it should, and those guys are kind of safety valves out behind the arc, and if they're all alone out there, we want them to step in and take them, either one of them. Yeah.